Tem campo, tem praia, tem serra, tem gente do mundo inteiro. Romance ou aventura, negócios ou passeio. Tem arte, arquitetura, tem belezas naturais. São Paulo é isso tudo, São Paulo é isso e muito mais. É gourmet, é de rua, é encontro, é mistura. É passado, é futuro e é pra todo mundo. São Paulo é isso e muito mais.
Qual é o melhor jeito de escolher qual caminho seguir? Seguir o que tem aí dentro de você.
A sua verdade.
A sua vibração.
Fazer a sua história. Foi isso que Três Corações fez. Seguimos o coração e criamos o café que entrou na história dos brasileiros.
E no coração também.
Para você seguir o aroma, seguir o sabor e todo dia se sentir pronto para seguir o coração. Três Corações, o café de quem ama café.
Bom dia agora, pessoal. Bom, é um prazer, é uma honra. Nós estamos no terceiro dia do MESA Tendências e quando a gente pensa em tudo que tem por trás de tudo isso aqui, primeiro é uma alegria. Quem é de fora de São Paulo aqui? Levanta a mão. Olha que coisa maravilhosa. Quem é de São Paulo? Vocês são minoria, os paulistas hoje estão em minoria. O que é, primeiro eu fico feliz, eu quero uma salva de palmas para vocês, uma salva de palmas. Por vocês estarem aqui hoje para ajudar a melhorar a gastronomia brasileira. Na verdade, esse é o nosso objetivo desde o primeiro Mesa Tendências, e isso foi em 2007. A ideia lá naquela época era exatamente fazer com que a gastronomia brasileira ela tivesse lugar no mundo. E para que isso acontecesse, a gente precisava do quê? Precisávamos dessa mão de obra, dessa vontade, dessa coragem de todos vocês estarem no mundo da gastronomia e viverem o mundo da gastronomia. Era uma época difícil, onde todo mundo, na verdade, via a gastronomia de fora como uma gastronomia que era importante. E a gente dava pouco valor à gastronomia brasileira. Daquele momento para frente, de 2007 para frente, nós fomos construindo ela, trazendo, claro, exatamente todas as experiências, todo mundo que importasse da gastronomia brasileira, para a gastronomia brasileira. Trouxemos os espanhóis, trouxemos os franceses, todos os espanhóis, todos os italianos, todos os que trabalhavam sustentabilidade em 2010. Para quê? Para que a gente pudesse dar a vocês, dar ao Brasil. Isso era o compromisso do Mesa, da Prazeres da Mesa, dar ao Brasil uma noção do que acontecia no mundo. E foi a partir disso que a gente começou também a colocar a gastronomia brasileira no palco. E colocar ela no palco para quê? Para que ela, de fato, ela conseguisse ter cada vez mais referência e também começar a mostrar daqui para fora o que a gastronomia brasileira pode fazer. Fazer esse evento não é fácil. Não é fácil, porque, na verdade, é um evento de conhecimento. Não é um festival, não é uma coisa que as pessoas vêm aqui para comer, para fazer. Não, as pessoas vêm aqui para conhecer, é para aprender, para poder conversar com os produtores que estão lá embaixo. Não é só comprar dos produtores, eles estão aí para conversar com vocês. Eles estão aí loucos para saber como é que o produto deles impacta a vida de vocês, né? E pode impactar a vida da gastronomia como um todo. Se eles quisessem vender, eles estariam em outro festival. Eles estão aqui porque eles querem ter esse contato com vocês. Então eu vou pedir para que vocês, no tempo que vocês tiverem, vão lá, dão uma atenção para os produtores. Os produtores eles querem compreender como essa junção do campo e da mesa acontece. E são vocês que vão fazer essa junção. São vocês que vão fazer com que esses ingredientes da gastronomia brasileira, do território brasileiro, alcancem alta gastronomia. A gastronomia e a alta gastronomia. No contexto de trazer todas as feras possíveis para o Brasil, trazer as pessoas mais importantes e relevantes do mundo, nós tínhamos, desde o ano passado, pensado, puxa vida, tem um cara, tem uma pessoa, tem um pensador, na verdade, da cozinha, um grande criador da cozinha que está lá na Dinamarca. A Dinamarca trouxe muita coisa para o Brasil, trouxe muita coisa para o mundo da gastronomia. Trouxe muita coisa, e para nós como influências também, desde o Noma, do Gerânio, de vários outros que já estiveram nesse palco também. A gente gostaria de mostrar o que está acontecendo. Mas esse cara, ele saiu da caixa, ele realmente saiu da caixa. Ele começou a fazer um trabalho que é, ao mesmo tempo, multissensorial, multimídia, e, fundamentalmente, multipropósito. Ele tem muitos propósitos quando ele coloca a sua ideia dentro de um prato, a sua ideia dentro de uma ideia. E parece um poço sem fim de ideias, porque cada vez que você vê algo novo desse cara, você percebe, mas aonde ele vai? Como ele consegue fazer isso? A gente ficou muito impressionado com essa ideia de trazer essa referência para nós. Por quê? Porque nós precisamos dessas referências. Nós precisamos, de fato, entender como a gastronomia, para onde a gastronomia vai. E se tem alguém que sabe para onde a gastronomia vai, ou, se não sabe tudo, mas acompanha esse trajeto passo a passo, esse cara se chama Rasmus Munk. Ele é, de fato, a pessoa, o chefe eleito 2 vezes pelo The Best Chefs Award, 2024, 2025. Até esse ano, quando a gente falou, não, ele vem, pô, que bacana. É um cara super, ele, toda a equipe dele, muito cordial, parecem brasileiros, engraçado, parecem todos muito agradáveis de falar, de estar juntos. Eu falei, puxa, vai ter a premiação do The Best Chefs Award e vai mudar, né? Não, o cara ganhou 2025 também. Então, eu queria chamar aqui um ativista da comida, um grande cara que pensa o futuro da comida, mas atua no presente de uma forma única. Com vocês, o multiestrelado, o multipremiado, o maior chefe do mundo na atualidade, Rasmus Munk.
Welcome. Thank you so much. It's yours. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you to Mesa for inviting me here to Brazil. It's my first time in Brazil. I'm very excited about that. I will tell you a little bit about Alquimista, holistic cuisine, what we're doing, and the restaurant. But I think before I start talking, I will show a little video of the restaurant so you can get a little insight in that. Thank you so much. So Alchemist is a restaurant that's located in Copenhagen. It's a restaurant that is built in different floors. There's around 2,200 square meters in total. So the guest is taken in from one part of the building and going through different rooms, 7 different rooms through the night, and getting all of the dishes served in different locations. We have what we call 50 impressions, where it can be 30 impressions that's edible one night, it can be 29, it can be 35, it can be up to 40. That's a long time since we had such a long menu. But what we call 50 impressions can be all from edible things, it can be like the rooms, the aroma in the room, it can be the room itself, the artistic performance in front of you. So it's just what we call impressions through the night. All of the rooms is built up for different reasons, and we have, when we built Alchemist, it was very important for me that we had rooms that allowed like artistic performances. So having rooms here, you can see the top picture here is a little version of Central Park. So it's a mini version of Central Park, which it was the first time that Trump was running for president. It was Brexit was happening in UK, and there was a lot of talk in the world about closing borders and surround ourselves with only the culture that we had, and we wanted to remind people that all good food and architecture and music and so on come from the outside. It's coming from the part of the world we want to close us like outside from, and we made this little version of Central Park where we also got recorded the soundscape from Central Park in New York. We had small quotations, papers, you could eat the paper, and talking about embracing diversity and different cultures. Another performance arts room we had was together with Copenhagen Philharmonic in Denmark. So we had a wine list playing in front of you. We have the big bronze door that's outside opening up to the restaurant. So all of these different rooms is very much taking inspiration from the more theatrical world or other artistic mediums, so like an opera or movie sets, and how can we in that way create a culinary experience catered in other like artistic rooms and mediums. The main like dining room is inspired by the planetarium. I'm coming from a family without any cultural heritage of knowledge. My family, my mother was a terrible chef, really bad chef. Don't know how to cook. I forgot the same 5 dishes when I was a kid. Never went to a museum, never went to a theater. So in that way, very poor kind of childhood. But I went to the planetarium in 8th grade in the primary school, and I got this like mind-blowing experience of being surrounded by the stars and the planets, and that was actually what inspired Alchemist and the dome here, which is the main dining room. So it's a content in the ceiling projected up by 10 projectors. There's a bar where you seated at, can have 50 guests at night, and then you served in front. So all of the waiters is in front of you and will serve the main actor of the show, which is of course the food of the night. So the content is changing. This one is talking about space. It's talking about space pollution. So satellite pieces, they're surrounding our orbit, which is a huge problem. And it's a thing that we don't talk that much about because it's not that interesting and it's not in the daily news. But it is actually a big problem maybe in 10, 15 years due to communications. Like there's so many bytes or bits of satellites around our globe, and it's interesting for me that we already polluted a space we have not even been yet. So we're not thought about how we're cleaning up after ourselves, which is a devastating news. One of the other rooms that one of the installation rooms I want to highlight is this ball pit room. So it was inspired by where I was most free as a kid, and it was McDonald's. Like in McDonald's ball pit room, I was most free. So we wanted to create that kind of feeling that people were jumping into these balls, and it's like 65,000 small recyclable plastic balls where you jump into as a guest after a wine pairing, and then it's quite hard to get out of that room. So I think all of the chefs is very happy that we don't have that room anymore. And then there'll be George Michael in the speakers playing Freedom, and then you're just in there. And it was quite amazing to see very adult human beings going in there and act like kids, like to have that feeling of doing something maybe for the first time, or this is 30 years since I've done that before. We had a 90-year-old lady that was jumping into the room, and she was literally screaming. And I thought, now she break a leg or like the back or something like devastating. But she was just so happy and just keep laughing. And I think that was very interesting that we could give her that kind of experience, a 90-year-old old lady in there. The other installation room I want to highlight now is a current installation room, which is our AI installation. So we wanted to talk about AI and how it impacts our industry, and especially Alquimista with a big studio of people doing VFX and graphic design. It has a big impact on us already. In the kitchen, less, I would say. It's more on the ideation space right now. So we wanted to make an installation room. Here we have this Morten, which actually is our former head chef, standing in the room here and looking at these screens. So in the start of the experience, we have a camera in the suit, in the bodysuit of the waiters, taking pictures of all of the guests. And then 3 minutes later, you generate it into a video. Here you can see my picture as myself as Mona Lisa. And this happens instantly, that you are in the entrance, you are greeted by the waiters, and then 3 minutes later you have a video of yourself through time and space, a 3 minutes video talking about some of the things that AI, the complications with that, but also, of course, some of the good things and perspectives that AI will do in this world, because there will also be great things as well. To the food part, I'm very inspired by other things than just the ingredients and flavors. I think 10 years ago, 15 years ago maybe, I was very inspired by ingredients and flavors. I was like thinking about just textures and like asparagus is coming in 2 months. How can we turn this into a very delicious and nice dish? And this day I see myself as a chef getting inspiration from all around the world, but mainly not from ingredients. So it could be plastic in the ocean as a problem. It can be Andy Warhol and the beautiful art he made for the cover for Velvet Underground and Nico, to organ donation or blood donation. And I think that's, for me, start with those kind of stories where it resonates with me, and I have a feeling to that, or attached in some ways to those stories, and then be conveyed within food and use the back catalog of chef's experience as like, with these ingredients we could turn into this dish here. This would be great. And we know that in Denmark strawberries is not that good in December, so we need to use them within the season. So we use, of course, the knowledge that we have as chefs on how can we take the best ingredients and prepare them the best way to actually convey these messages. But it's mainly starting with other inspiration sources than just the food itself, and that can be sensitive as a chef to say, and also as a chef to hear, because that's what we, through many generations now, has been is the holy grail, is the Bible, is that we going after the best ingredients, needs to be prepared best way, and it's taste, and all of those things we still focus on, but we start from another perspective than just that. It also ends up many times to be more theatrical, like presentation-wise in the food, all from this little tongue kiss here, where you're eating from a silicone tongue. So the tongue is made in silicone, the dish is around it. So the only way to eat it is actually to tongue kiss with it. It's a good icebreaker for most guests, I would say. It can also be the banana, as you just saw from the Andy Warhol art, where we made it into an edible version here, to the little ant sandwich, when our scientific research within ants and the calculation, which it seems like it traced back. It seems like one of the first fermentation that made in the world has been with ant and the formic acid in ants. So we made an ice cream out of that and make it into a little ant sandwich here. Or the food for thought, which is the human head in the bottom, where you eat like a mind. So you take off the the head, and then you have the mind inside, with real human eyebrows on the part of the head as well. So all of these foods is normally having attached the storytelling to it, and we use very much the more artistic ways of presenting it to create awareness or raise emotions with the guest. And that's the, I think, magical thing with Alquimista, is that people I meet 5 years later through the visit can still remember most of the dishes because they were maybe presented in an unusual way as well. Especially with food, I have met through the years now that what we do at Alquimist is, the critics will say like, but why not just focusing on food? Why do we need to have all of these storytellings around it? Why do we need to communicate on things like plastic in the oceans and the hunger in the world? Like, why should a chef do that? Why should a restaurant do it? But I think it's interesting when we look at the art world within all other artistic fields. It's quite normal that we expect that artists have an idea, a storytelling, something that's resonating with the viewer, and in this case, it's the guest is the viewer in the restaurant. And I think it's interesting that we are so conservative when it's about food, that we're not allowing ourselves as a craftsman and as a chef and as a food viewer on things, that we don't allow the medium to be strong as it actually can be, because it is quite amazing how much it can cultivate guests and seems like people resonating the storytelling there's within our food. So I hope that chefs in the future as well will see the medium can be more than just a craft. And it's not an either or. I think it's a coherence. And the same with music. It's not every day I like to listen to Vivaldi, but I like and appreciate a number once in a while, and then I hear something else the other days. And I think if you go to Alquimist maybe once in your life, that's okay. That is a different experience than the good chuleta you're getting the day after, or I got a lot of hummus yesterday, and I also appreciate that. And the hummus don't need to tell any stories. It's okay that it's just a great hummus. Some of the dishes I want to highlight from the restaurant is there's actually doing this communication through the food and conveying image like stories is our eye here. So it's a dish that is made like a human eye, inspired by George Orwell and the Surveillance Society, the novel 1984, things that seems like more relevant than ever. In Denmark, they even proposed a law now that they need to be allowed to scan all of our text messages and all our messengers, like text on WhatsApp and so on, to fight crimes. But if that's now a new reality, it just seems like a lot of the things that he talked about is actually starting to happening. And we want to raise awareness about that in the restaurant. We want to start that communication or conversation. So here is the eye, where you need to dig into the eye. So we build it up, very classic in flavors. Recently we just did Danish lobsters with a little bit of sweet corn from Denmark and chanterelles from the Swedish forest. And then inside there's like a little cracker that's made of a crispy crouton, so it feels like you're cracking into an eye. And I don't know how that, I'm not psychopath, I don't know how it feels, but I imagine it will feel like that. And then you eat this very beautiful, simple salad inside with caviar on the top and a cut ice gel on top of that. Another one I want to highlight is which we have been talking about since the start of Alquimist. When we opened the restaurant, we got a report from Danish Technology Institute that 1/3 of all Danish cod was filled with microplast inside. And as a Danish chef or in the Nordic, you work with a lot of cod fish. So I was quite surprised that 1/3 of all of that cod that I'm working with is have microplast inside. And if you look globally, it's a crazy problem that plastic is ending places it should not end. I don't think we should eliminate plastic completely. I think plastic is good for a lot of things, but it should not end up in the ocean. If you take Brazil as an example, it's have around 3-4 million tons plastic a year, where you estimate 1/3 of those is ending up, unfortunately, on the coast. So it's a huge problem. We want to convey that through the guests and the diners at night. We serve, of course, Danish cod, which have microplast inside. Also some edible plastic on top of that. That's made of the cod skin, so the collagen of the cod skin and different algae and starches. We serve it on a little plastic plate, which is made of the oil bottles that our industrial designer Michael had made into plastic plates for the dish here. Another one is our windshield dish. So we read in Nature last year that since the 1979 we had lost over 70% of all flying insects in the world, and that is an enormous number, and I cannot even get my head around that devastating news that over 70% of all flying insects is disappeared. Like in biodiversity, maybe like how do we protect that in the future? So we have made here, it take me back directly to the place that I'm from, which is a little bit more farmer side of Denmark. And I had a lot of scooters, and I drive around on these scooters with my helmet on and got all of these bugs on the helmet. So that we wanted to illustrate here to make this edible windshield. We have a little garum that's made of mealworms. There's like a little kale butterfly that's edible as well, cultivated and farmed by our house biologist, and then different summer plants and like pickles from the summer and the autumn. And then you have this like little scraper that you need to scrape off all of the bugs and then eat it and digest it. This one here, the last one, is our little heart serving. We call it 8 layers of life. So it's symbolized that you could potentially save 8 lives if you are organ donor. It's also 8 flavors. The most present ones is like cherry leaves, there's hibiscus in it, black olives and sea salt, but there's also a deer blood inside. So the deer blood we ferment it for around 3 months. So you get rid of all of these metallic notes that's normally in a blood. And then we have a small caramelization, we heat it up slowly, and create this little bit more sweetness and fruitiness in the blood. So when you scoop into the heart, there's running out with the blood, and we're talking about, you can sign up to be organ donor. In Denmark, was recently one of the only countries in Europe where you was not requested to sign up. That law has just been changed, not through this dish. Only we have put a lot of attention to it, but I'm also ambassador for an organization called Organ Donation Yes Please, and that organization has fight very much for getting this law changed in Denmark, because it was that 80% was positive about signing up to be organ donor, but only 24% had actually done it, because there's time enough, we will do it later in life. To do all of these things, all of the different rooms, the different dishes, to research within the different problematics and statements that we try to convey through the night, we need a huge team, a very diverse team as well. We have around 112 people employed in the restaurant, all from chefs, waiters, VFX artists, graphic designer, industrial designer. We have dancers, actors on board of the team, people that's doing the PhD at Alquimista/Spora. So it's quite a diverse mindset of people and skill set of them. Also different nationalities. We have 36 different nationalities on the team currently. So it takes a lot of people to come together to make this experience possible. So that's also why it's a quite expensive experience. We pay a lot of tax in Denmark. There's a lot of tax on ingredients as well. So to convey this experience is just a very, it costs a lot of money, and especially if you want to also treat people well, paying health insurance, pensions, and pay the people that's actually doing the work properly as well. Some of the projects for Alquimista I want to talk about, because the overall vision of Alquimista is to change the world through food. We want to make a positive impact with our platform and with Alquimista. So it's fine to talk about these things through the night and hopefully inspire a younger generation to go out there and use the medium for something more than just the craft itself. But I also think we need to be actively involved in different projects that's making an impact. One of the things that I want to highlight is junk food, which is our charity we started on the COVID. So when Corona hit Denmark, we was forced to close down. We had a lot of kitchens that was empty. A lot of the shelters and the volunteers at the shelters was not able to provide food for the homeless. So I called the social mayor and got her, asked if there was any vulnerable people we could help give some food. And she called me back and said, tonight I have 300 people that would like to have food. I was only myself and my girlfriend. She's in the room, so I need to say she was also there. But she was there as well. We went to the grocery. We bought in to cook these tartlets for the people. And when you come back at Alquimista and you realize that your restaurant is doing very small dishes and the pots is around 5 liters maximum, then it's quite hard to cook for 300 people. But we managed, we did it, and the day after, or the same day when we just delivered all the food, she was like, I have 600 people for tomorrow. So I went back on Instagram, Facebook, wrote to all of the staff saying, we need to set up this soup kitchen now, and we need to divide a lot of meals out. And through these days of delivering meals to the homeless in Copenhagen, we got so much feedback. People that were surprised that this food was coming consistent daily. There was like, is really food coming again today, cooked just for us? So that dignity of getting something cooked for you daily was surprisingly for me how much that actually means for these people. And so I knew that we could not just shut this down when Corona was away and gone, or the restaurant could open up again. So we needed to secure finances to operate junk food, and we found this little kitchen with a very strong vision and very simple vision of just cooking a good meal, hot meal every day for the social vulnerable people in Denmark. Last year we took over this beautiful place here. We got built a huge kitchen for ourselves. We can sustain around 5,000, 6,000 meals daily, which is the same number of homeless people they're estimated to be in Denmark. We have delivered over 700,000 meals now, and we are delivering around 2,000 meals daily, provided out now, not just to Copenhagen, but the whole Denmark, in 5 of the biggest cities in Denmark as well. So very simple project, cooking some food, and we have a good team there. There is also hired, getting paid, so it costs some money to operate it, but we do that to make sure we can be consistent, we can deliver a meal every day. And for now is operating very well. We don't get any financial support from governments, but we hope that will do in the future. Now we're covering actually whole Denmark. Another thing I want to highlight is our hospital project. So the Children's Hospital in Copenhagen that's about to be open in 2027. We work with the gastronomical profile of that hospital. If you want to be the best children's hospital in the world, you need to focus on the food as well. You need to focus about, this is the Mary Elizabeth Hospital that is now being built in Denmark. We worked a lot with communication. How could we communicate in new ways with the kids and the families? Today is just a printed flyer, which is printed in black and white, and the pictures is probably from the 80s, so it's very outdated. It's not really creating any appetite on light. So we looked very much on communication part of it, but of course also we looked at the food. One of the things that I want to highlight from that project was the ice cream box here that we made. It was like an ice cream buffet, and we were sitting in a meeting with a lot of doctors there, like all of them had the PhD and was very clever, and I was the one that was the least clever in that room, 100%, and they were sitting and discussing that the kids didn't want to eat anything. This was on a cancer department with kids at the main hospital, and they said the only thing they want to eat is ice creams, and I was like, then we can make ice cream. No, it takes too much staff, it's too complicated to make ice cream, you need to have an ice cream machine. And I was like, have you ever heard about Pacojet? Which is, I don't know if there's any chefs in the room that can see, but the Pacojet has been in our industry for 20 years. It's this very fine blender creating an instant ice cream within 3 minutes. Just need to put a cup into the machine. They never heard about that. They invested in a couple of Pacojets to make the ice cream, and now they get ice cream twice a week. And we made the ice cream recipes very simple, so they could just put berries in it or chocolate into it or whatever they want to. And then we had a milk base that was made of colostrum, which is the first milk coming out from the cow. Of course, there's giving all the need for the kettle, but then afterwards there's actually a little waste stream of that, and in Denmark we don't use it. So we took in that's very high in protein and fat, and then we made it into a beautiful ice cream box for the kids that's getting filled up with proteins through that project. Another project that's beyond Alquimista is our space project. In 2027, we're going to go to the stratosphere, 100,000 feet above sea level, in collaboration with a company called Space VIP in the States and Safalto in France. It's a 6 hours experience. It takes 2 hours to go up, 2 hours in the stratosphere, and then 2 hours down. It's a capsule, a pressurized capsule, made that's taken up by this hydrogen balloon. So it's a carbon neutral flight. The hydrogen balloon and technology is developed by NASA. And it's taking up this capsule to 100,000 feet above sea level. And then you have this beautiful view and the overview of the Earth. We're going to cook and cater a fine dining experience there. And for the next couple of years, there will be a lot of research within that. One of the things of the examples from that collaboration has been our space bread, as we call it. So it's soy sauce from Kyoto in Japan that's been aerated up at around 10,000% of air, encapsulating the air, freeze-dried so it gets crispy and hold on the air. And then we top it, because it's an Alchemist, we top it with a little bit of caviar. But what's most interesting is the texture. So when you eat it, it's crispy and crunchy, and then it disappears instantly. So we use it for the kids and the kids hospital, actually. So kids that had chemotherapy because they had cancer can get open wounds in the throat and don't want the side effects of swallowing something that's crispy, but they want to have this craving for crispy things. So we made it with different like chicken skin flavors, roasted puff pastry flavors, and so on. So you can get this satisfaction of something that is crispy, but you don't have the side effects of getting it through your throat. So I think for things happening in these extraordinary projects that's going to space or the stratosphere or cooking very high level edible plastic to some diners every night, if you can take that creativity, innovation, and we look holistic at it, then we can take a space bread that was actually invented for something that's quite extraordinary, but we can take it into a normal daily setting and actually have an impact in the world. So all of these projects have led me to making a place where we could harness the creativity and innovation that happen in places like Alchemist. When we're getting people together from all of these different perspectives and mindsets and skill sets and collaborating on doing space food, like if we could take some of those innovations and then scale it up and hit millions of people and not just the 50 guests at night at Alchemist, I think that would be relevant and interesting. So we started Spora, which is our innovation center for food. Started it a couple of years ago. Been working within that a couple of years to actually find out if there was a need for a house like that, because what is this house? Isn't the big food companies we have in the world right now, aren't they focused enough of the gastronomy, like flavors, textures, mouth feelings? And to be honest, it's not the driver. Flavors, textures, mouth feeling is not always the drivers in these new technologies and big food companies. One of the biggest food companies in the world have 11,000 researchers worldwide, 11,000. Only 32 of them are chefs. So it's quite crazy at Alchemist and Spore. We can activate more chefs for one day than the world's biggest food company. So I think that says a lot about where the perspective is on things. One of the two things I want to highlight, one of the things you can taste after the presentation here is making a non-chocolate. Now, of course, it's a little bit weird coming from Denmark. We don't have any cocoa beans at all, and then go to Brazil and talking about chocolates. But it is a market that is quite under pressure. The price has been increasing over 300% the last couple of years. Climate changes, deforestations, and other complicating problems within the chocolate industry. And it doesn't seem like the people stop craving chocolate. And it's very hard to see how the cocoa industry need to sustain that demand that's just increasing and increasing. So we need to find alternatives for some chocolates in the world. And one of the alternatives we have looked at Spora is made from brewers' spent grain. So when you produce beer, the side stream from that is used for animal feed today, or otherwise it's burned. It costs around $100 for 1 ton of this. And there's 40 million tons of this in the world, where 1 ton of chocolate right now costs around $7,000. So there's a big gap. And it's not to eliminate chocolate, because chocolate is amazing. And chocolate is produced well and nice, have these characteristics that you cannot recreate with other fruits or other spent brewer grains and so on. But it's just to make an alternative to some of the things where we just crave the thing, where we maybe mix it with nuts, or we use it covering something. I will honestly say this product here, then you can't really taste the big difference on the things that is on the market right now. For the masses, it's not for the high-end restaurants and so on as well. So we made the Spora chocolate here, made of the spent brewer's grain. As I said, there's 40 million tons of this in the world, so it could be interesting to look into, to make this into chocolate or noodles or pastas. And I think that's what we're doing at on Spora. We think very holistic about it. And a lot of people say that our food industry is broken. The food factories doesn't work as they're supposed to, but they work exactly as they are designed. They're working to sustain a lot of people's food every day. And we need things in big scale. We need these big food companies if we want to sustain food and nutrition enough for around 10 billion people. It will soon be. But we need maybe to look more holistic on some of the things that we're just throwing out, like this one, which is just used for animal feed today. And we maybe need to decrease animals in general in agriculture. So if we're decreasing, we need also to use the side stream to something else than just burning it. And that's what we have done with this project here. The last project I want to highlight is for newly just announced, our project about turning CO2 into protein, into food of the future. It's a big collaboration funded by Gates Foundation and Novo Nordisk Foundation in Denmark, and a lot of partners in this consortium that's already been running 2 years, proving technology that it's possible to make a high-level protein out of acetate, where the acetate is made out of CO2. So taking CO2 from factories, turn it into acetate, and then have microorganisms living on that, or microbes living on that, feeding protein out to us. And it sounds maybe a little bit disgusting to have CO2 turning it from a factory, like is that clean, healthy, stuff like that is healthy, is clean. And acetate is a very known way of fermenting, but normally you just do it with sugar. This is very interesting. You don't need sugar in this process here. So it's a completely new technology. Don't need any sugar to ferment it, so you don't need any agricultural land. So the calculations has been done on factories in India, doing all of the concrete industry in India. If you took all of the CO2 from that industry alone, only in India, and you turn that into acetate and then into protein, you could reduce agricultural land with around the size of Argentina. So it have a huge potential if this is actually going to be something that tastes good, because that's the driver. It needs to be good in taste, flavors, and mouth feelings. And that's what we are at Spora, is why we're in the consortium. We're going to make these food prototypes that hopefully will be something that tastes really, really delicious. So with this new technology could be a new way of fermenting for the future. So in 2 years, we will have developed the food prototypes. 2 years after that, so in 2030, they expect that we can produce protein enough for 1 billion people annually. So I think that's quite extraordinary and amazing if this actually become a success. So I think in general, we need to look at what we do as chefs. We need to look at our craft and take that more holistic, both in storytelling-wise, in our skill set, and how can we take maybe things that we're developing for space and put it into a kids' hospital, or how can we look at fermentations that we're doing at fine dining restaurants and scale it up to the mass. I think that's important, and hopefully then we will have a more sustainable future within the planetary boundaries that we have. That was all for me. Thank you so much for listening.
Woohoo! Woo! Wow, 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 wow. Algumas perguntas? Alguma pergunta? Don't be shy. Yes, over there. Olha lá. Fala o nome.
My name is Igor. I am 18 years old only. Right here, okay. I need to calm down a little because I'm very nervous talking to you. You're like
No, you don't be.
you're one of my biggest inspirations. When I'm currently graduating in culinary arts in a school in a college of Rio Grande do Sul. And when my professors they asked me to do works about chefs that I like, I always talk about you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
No. Yeah.
Isso.
I'm trying to speak. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little emotional. But as an 18-year-old, I just want to ask you, like, what do you think my next step could be into becoming like half of a great chef as you are?
No, thank you so much. I think you should be you. That's very important. I have been working many years of trying to also look up to somebody. I think it's important to have somebody you look up to, of course, but I think it's important that you don't forget yourself in that journey, because sometimes you can change things. Once I said to a journalist that my mother was an amazing chef, because every chef said that their mother was amazing, and they had a grandmother that was amazing doing food, and I didn't have that. But once I nearly took myself in telling another reality that it was not mine, and I think that's important that you stay true to yourself and what you would like to be. I think if you want to have a restaurant that have, obviously, don't want to neglect that we have success and we have been fully booked since it started and a big pressure on coming to dine at Alquimista and so on, and to hear your statement today is very touching for me. So that kind of success. I think it's possible to create just if you work hard enough, hard in investing the time. It don't need to be hard to actually go to work. That's important. But invest the time and take some of the consequences, unfortunately, if you want to do things like that. I've been for the last 18 years working nearly daily on things like Alchemist or ending up where we are today. So it takes a long time. It's a big passion that you need to find within yourself if this is the way you want to go. But I think to be true to yourself in that journey is the most important thing. I hope that you will find your path and way to go to hopefully succeed. And I think one thing is, of course, hard work as well, but also to be lucky in many ways. I'm also been lucky that I found the right investor at the right time and could open these things. So I also feel I'm privileged that those things happen to me. But I'm also, I think, a proof on that you don't need any talent. You don't need to come from a family that's cultivating you in the right way, because I have been, the only restaurant I visited until I was 15 was McDonald's. I've never been within food. I've never been cultivated with that. So you learn a lot by doing, and if you invest that time in it, I think that there's a bright future there, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Mais alguém? Aqui na frente. Fala o seu nome.
Olá.
Olá.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Zilma Helena, sou de Recife, Pernambuco.
She's from Recife, Pernambuco. It's a state from here. Silvia Helena. Her name is Silvia Helena.
Sou da área de doces. Gostaria de saber como você enxerga
From the pastry.
a culinária brasileira e os chefes brasileiros.
How do you see Brazilian cuisine, and Brazilian chefs? What do you know about it?
I've only seen hummus so far. so I need. This is my first night. We landed yesterday evening, and went to this amazing restaurant. Yeah, so I've not seen that much so far, to be honest. But I've been in Peru, I've been in Colombia, I've seen South American cuisine, I've been in Mexico. I think it will resonate with me in an amazing way. And I hear rumors that the pineapple juice this morning in the buffet in the breakfast was out of this world. So I look forward to that tomorrow. But I also look forward to we going to a lot of restaurants when we're here, and I really look forward to see. It seems like an amazing place. So yeah, I look very much forward to that.
Ele vai descobrir muitas coisas, não, pessoal?
Seja muito bem-vindo. Muito obrigada.
Welcome. Thank you. Mais alguém?
Jorge, aqui.
Aonde? Aqui. Lá. Ok.
Hi, good evening, chef. Thank you very much for taking your time to come to Brazil. I think I can speak on behalf of lots of people that are here. It's a pleasure to have someone like yourself coming here to Brazil and getting to know a little bit about our culture and our country. Thank you very much. And also, I'd like to hear from you, your point of view about you breaking through a lot of innovations and amazing things that you just shared with us with your talk. But I would like to know, how do you see the industry inside, like being a man that spend long hours, as you said, hard work, and you see that, the majority of people, as you said yourself, you're lucky to find someone, to have someone by your side to invest in you, in your ideas. But we know that the majority of people are not that lucky as you are, yeah? So for young people like him that are spending the time, beginning long hours, long weekends, no time with family, investing putting a lot, and maybe not getting the return. So how, in your perspective, we can shift that and making people that are really working in the kitchen to be seen, to be heard, and have a voice? And I also would like to give you a gift from one of our biomas, called Cerrado, which is a baunilha. That's a different kind of baunilha. If you could take it, I would be really glad.
No, it'd be a pleasure. Thank you. I think there's a lot of things in that question. There's a lot of discussions in it, because I think there's things that we need to, kill the narrative as well. That if you want to be I'm not saying I'm one of the best, but now, like, I'm one of the best in the world, whatever, then to have that position in a restaurant, I think you will never succeed with doing that with just working 37 hours a week. Maybe some can with a natural born talent, or maybe cultivated in the right way through the family and knows a lot about it, but it requires a lot of hard work. That said, that's a personal thing that you need to invest a lot of things to, like, if you want to succeed in life with whatever you're doing. If you want to be the greatest football player, you cannot just train Monday and Tuesday and then expect it coming. You need to train every 7 days of the week. But I think there's a complication in the way that we operating restaurants. I think it's been a glossy image for too long, especially in our part of the world, where we have been delivering a product that was not financially sustainable. And we have done that for years, and we've done it with taking advantage of people who want to work for free. And I think that's a big problem, that we have an industry where we cultivate a fine dining experience, and you have handcrafted ceramics that's been changed to every dish, and you're sitting in this beautiful architecture house made by a famous architect or whatever it can be. And then when you go to the back end of the office, so like to the kitchen, then sometimes 50% is not paid to be there. So I think it's important. It's okay for me to have interns in your kitchen. We have interns ourselves at Alquimista, but you need to make a specific program for them. You need to take care of them. You need to make sure they learn something and get something out of being there. And then with Alquimista example, we have put an example out. We want to make this holistic as well as a working place. We want to we work within the EU laws, so you can maximum work 48 hours a week, average over 4 months period. And we have, of course, the chefs is meeting from 11 to 11. So they have, and the 4 days a week, 3 days off. They have the weekend off as well, paid pensions and health insurance. When we travel, like we travel here to Brazil, we have the restaurant closed, because if I'm not there, we close the restaurant. So then we change in the working schedule. But in average for four months, they can maximum have 48 hours working week. And I think we need to be in fine dining restaurants, we need to have that. We need to have that kind of a bargain deal. Like we need to have a sustainable way to succeed. Because many times people compare it to be on the national football team, to be in a restaurant like Alquimista. But I mean, that's fine. But maybe 5 people in Alquimista or 6 people in Alquimista is actually getting something out of that. But where maybe the lion chef that's been there for 2 years is not after those 2 years at Alquimista just going out and opening a restaurant. So it's also a business, and that's a fine balance, I think, in being ambitious and want to be the best in the world, and at the same time sustain a healthy working environment. And I think that's important.
Thank you. People, grande aplauso outra vez, por favor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.